Good evening, folks. How are you? Nikat, Stavro, how are you doing, hun? Welcome in. Are you well? Right, let me just turn the screen, shall I? Look within. How are you? Let me just fix me phone. How are you? Good evening. How's life? I'm here in Bangkok, so lovely to have you. Welcome on board. You know what? I had an amazing inspiration to do this scope tonight from Tony. Hey, Pensive. That's Tony right there. If you're not following Tony, please do. Tony, you know, you said something and it sparked me. It sort of like got me going. And what I want to talk briefly about, because it's a huge subject actually, is the Archons. You know, what is it? Who are they? Who are these beings that they call the Archons? So I'm just going to chuck out some bullet points at you. JJ Kintz, thanks for joining this evening. If you've not joined one of my scopes before, then please say who you are and where you are watching from. Hi, Kathy Moore. And I'll give you a shout out if you've not joined in before. If you don't know who I am, I'm Helen. I'm an intuitive coach and mentor. And Jarius, how are you this evening? And I also teach metaphysical teachings and esoteric wisdoms to heal our lives. I healed my own multiple sclerosis, and now I just kind of either help others. Hey, Rochester, JJ's from Rochester, the rulers that Vin calls 666. Yeah, you could call it that as well, but it's a vast subject. It's just not one isolated form of beings. That would kind of be like being racist. It's like saying are only Greeks gamblers, for example, you know. Archons are from the Gnostic scriptures, right? Yet they are mentioned in the Gnostic scriptures, yes, but it's also a metaphysical truth. So what the Gnostic scriptures talk of, it's something that people that are deeply intuitive can tap into, because I was aware of all of this stuff before I knew anything about the Gnostic teachings. So this obviously tells us that it's a universal sort of wisdom, yeah? So as I was saying, I do teach and I do facilitate, but tonight we're just going to talk about the Archons a little bit. And it's a very important subject, and one of my classes, which is called Samapana, which means completion in Sanskrit, has a huge section in it which is about the Archons in a very deep way, to see how we kind of connect to it, if we affiliate to it in any way, or perhaps if we contribute to it in any way, or if we are a victim of it in any way. We allow ourselves to discover processes to release ourselves from that. So that's the way we can approach it. But what we're going to do tonight, you're right, Kathy Moore, all we're going to do is just discuss it a little bit. So if you are interested in esoteric truths and metaphysical wisdoms, then I do invite you to share and follow if you like. And please share and follow the guys that are in here right now, because they're real special people. And if you're not sure how to do that, all you do is swipe on your iPhone right to left, Android up and down, and it will reveal your little man, and you can share or follow just there. Thanks for inviting Richard. So yeah, absolutely correct, the mention about the 666 and Archons, but that's only a tiny part of it. So are you ready for some bullet points about what this is all about? Okay, so on the higher dimensional level, thanks Tony, thanks for sharing, my darling. Please follow Tony and Krista. Hey Krista, hey Christiana, how are you doing? Yes, so the first point that I'd like to make about the Archons, totally agree on this, have taken the course. Remember our Archons talk? Yes, I do. A big Archons talk, yeah, and it's so important, because we're kind of perhaps more involved in it, in what we know. Oh, Christiana, I miss you too. When I get back to Cyprus, let's hook up. Come to Limassol, let's have coffee or tea. Okay, so number one, on the higher levels, they are inorganic.
So what does that mean if they're inorganic? What does that mean to you? Do you like my Bangkok mug? It's cool, isn't it? Cheers. Just bought it today. So what does it mean? Non-material. Yep, that's one way of putting it, Richard. Yep, non-material. Another way we can look at it is that it could also mean that they are not natural, not part of our organic and authentic nature. Yes, absolutely. Mechanical or energy based. It could be either or. Could be a mixture, but not organic. Perhaps not the way our primary source have to leave, but now following you. Thank you, my darling. You can catch it on replay. Thanks for quickly stopping in. Appreciate that. So yeah, these are different definitions of inorganic for our archonic beings, archon beings, if you like. And yes, all those definitions are totally correct. And I'd just like to throw in some etymology for the archon and what it actually means. It comes from the Greek word archon and also archondas, power of love. Please remind me of your first name again, darling, so that I can give you a shout out. I need reminding of the words. Smokedom, thank you for joining also. So please remind me of your first name. So the etymology, Kerry, thank you, Kerry. Thank you, my darling. And please accept my apologies for not remembering just yet. Okay, so the etymology of archons comes from a Greek word archon, or archondas also comes from archon. An archon means ruler, to rule. Okay, that's what it actually means. Thank you, thanks Kerry. So that's what it actually means. Now get this, this is really an amazing correspondence that I literally put together this evening. Archon means ruler, okay, to rule. Archondas is somebody who is very rich. Archon and archondas. Archon, archondas. So what it means is the word archon has a very strong connection to somebody who is quite powerful and who has a lot of influence. Archon, yes. Archondas, exactly. And perhaps you can even type it Christianamo in Greek if you want to, because I can't do that. Yeah. He who holds the rules, yes, that is the etymology of archon. And I'd also like you to break it up. Ark. Where else do we also see the word ark? Ark, Noah's ark, archangels. Okay, I'm not saying that they're all bad, but I'm just trying to archive. Yeah, fantastic one. Archive. Above, arc, to arch over. Yeah, so we're just looking at the different correspondences that the word has. Okay, above, yes, above all. Archon, thank you, Christiana. Well, there's the Greek spelling from Christiana right there. Please follow her. Archetype, wonderful, Richard, thanks. Archondas, there they are in Greek from Christiana. Richard says archetype, fantastic, beautiful. Arc in architecture, yes, amazing. And architecture is very much connected to civilization, isn't it? And civilization is when rulership became really strong on our earth. So it's another connection to the word archon. So it's really, really interesting, all these deep correspondences, yeah? And, you know, the way that it all connects. So that's our etymology. And thanks so much for contributing. It really means a lot to me. And, you know, we're kind of sharing here, so that's amazing. So we found out the etymology. We know that they can be, for the most part, inorganic. Now, it gets really interesting when we start talking about humans and archons. And an ark is a powerful building structure. Yes, it is. The ark. Okay, have you noticed that we need to go through an ark in order to, Xenyamo, welcome, in order to take part in sacred ceremony that comes under establishment? So when we get christened, for example, we need to go through an arch, yes. When we get married in a church, we go through an arch of sorts, an ark. Okay, so these are very, very deep symbolic truths that it's very powerful when we understand it. It can really change our lives. And I will be doing loads of scopes on symbology, because I'm pretty well versed in that subject and I'd love to share it. The Ark of the Covenant, fantastic one, Tony. The arcade, yeah, arcade. And that's amazing that you say arcade, Richard, too, because in an arcade we can get hooked to that thing, right? And it becomes our Lord and Master, doesn't it? Right, so I don't know if you know where I'm coming from with this, but I know so many people that are totally hooked to that shit, you know, and so they become our Lord and Master. Archons, yeah. Okay, so if we look at it at the galactic level though, yeah, so we're looking at it a little bit further up at the moment. This is point 2 or 3. So the Archons emerged in our solar system prior to the formation of the Earth. Okay, so according to the Gnostic teachings, they claim and say that they were around before the formation of the Earth. Hey Annette, darling, Annette, thanks for joining this evening. Thanks for joining, thanks very much. So, and when I checked in on that intuitively, again, yes, I found that there was a correspondence for me. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as from what it is that I receive intuitively, the Archons did actually exist before the Earth did. Okay, so it's also part of Earth history and galactic history. Seeded the Earth with life, yes. Yeah, so now you see, now that you say that, Tony, we're looking at things such as other alien life forms, such as, for example, the Anunnaki. Yeah, so the Anunnaki are claimed to be the kings or the gods that created us, and that's another big subject, and it is part of the Samapana retreat where I go really deeply into that. But that, for the sake of our scope, is another wonderful example of Archons. Okay, so yes, it could be they that created our Earth. And this is not just mythos, guys, it's not just mythos. If you look at ancient Babylonian scripts and the petroglypha of ancient Babylon, you will see, the ancient Archons and the Anunnaki, where they are actually embedded in stone, and the stones tell amazing stories. So you can actually Google that, don't take my word for it, do your research and find out, yeah? Okay, so here's another really amazing fact about the Archons. They construct by imitating the geometric forms emanating from the Pleroma, which means the realm of the generators, the cosmic gods. I'll say that again. They construct by imitating the geometric forms emanating from the Pleroma, which means the realm of the generators, the cosmic gods. So again, that comes and links back to like our previous point that we talked of, which were the example of the Anunnaki alien or god forms that came down, who either created man or perhaps tampered with the original template of man and reconstructed a form of man. So it could be a combination of those issues, or it could be one of each. I'm not sure which it is. Sometimes I think it's a combination of both. If any of you guys know anything about this stuff, what's your scope on it? Like, what do you think? Do you feel that these Archons created man, or do you feel that the Archons perhaps tampered with the original blueprint of man? What do you think it might be? What do you sense it might be? Not from what you've read, but what do you feel from within that might possibly be? Hello Adriana, how are you doing? We're having a deep conversation here in Bangkok tonight about the Archons. Okay, so I'm just going to wait on your comment for that one. So did the Archons tamper with the manufacturing of man? they tampered, so that's what you feel. Okay, I'm wonderful, thank you, wonderful, glad to hear it. I thought that it was on the blueprint. Yes, because we're talking about DNA here. Okay, so if they tampered with the blueprint, it means that they've tampered with the DNA. And I know that as far as I'm concerned that there is truth in that. So and this is like partly why we have such a huge problem with people today. Archons, what people call reptilians, right? That's just another word, Richard. Yeah, so reptilians, Anunnaki, there's so many different words. This is what I said right at the beginning, it's not just one thing. Okay, and this is when I refer to God, or when I refer to source, I always say the word primary source, the primary creator. They're part of our innermost essence. It's something that we should accept and transcend. Yeah, accept, we definitely need to come into the knowledge of that. You're absolutely right. And then we need to heal up whatever is erroneous in relation to that fact. So yeah, spot on with that. Yeah, so yes, tampering with DNA, or they may have created from scratch. There are like different schools of thought about that, but it is definitely one or the other, or a combination of. And Adrian, how you doing, honey? It's the first time you're on. So nice of you to be on. Oh, I love that you're here. Galosoli says, welcome. So we're just talking about some Anunnaki stuff, okay? And actually we're talking more about Archon stuff, okay? So yes, that was our third point, okay? What's really interesting about that third point is that it said that they construct by imitating geometric forms. That's really interesting. Where does that happen on Earth? Where does that happen on Earth? We've often said, I've said lots of times, I've done over 70 scopes so far, and I've said very many times, churches, yep, that's one. Andriemo, churches. Follow, look within, guys. Truth Tribe, look within. She's very powerful. She's one of my students and teachers. So very proud. Life formation, yes, there also. But also, if you look at the sacred geometry that's used here on Earth, a classic one is where? Keeping the secrets to hold control. Yes, absolutely. And that's happening not in the woo-woo sort of, you know, weird and wonderful corners of the cosmos. I'm not talking about that. Now I'm talking about where is that happening here on Earth, right in front of our faces. Sacred geometry is everywhere, and look at all of the high power structures that use it. Okay, so this symbology is used everywhere in order to manipulate the deeper subconscious mind. I've noticed a lot of geometric patterns even on the street. Right, now you're talking. Hey Bishop, thanks for joining tonight. How are you doing? Glad you're on. And congrats about your next baby boy to be, number 2, baby boy to be. So good job. Symbology on money, yes, yeah, the symbology of money. So we've got the pyramid and the all-seeing eye. Great, I'm glad to hear it. Glad you're doing good. We absorb it within without even realizing. Yes, we do. So sacred geometry, guys, it can be abused, right? It can be used for the good and it can be used for evil, okay? The magic is, it's all the same. It's all the same thing. It's just like how you decide to use it. But all I'm saying is for this scope is that people in higher places of power, especially in regards to the Archons, they have used it in a really huge way. A really huge way, okay? And it is really, really having a very, very high influence. No worries. Welcome on board. Thanks for joining. Thanks. You're very welcome on board. So that's just one of the points, okay? One of our 7 points that it is used. The geometric forms have been used and abused. The Anunnaki came to Earth to mine gold and genetically engineered human beings to make us. Absolutely, yeah. I wasn't going to take it that way, Tony, but you know, your words, not mine, and I'm glad you did. So thanks for sharing that. It's a very deep truth, and a lot of people aren't really ready to know that, to embody that, or just think it's a pile of bullshit. Actually, they don't, you know, really believe it. But yeah, if you study deep cosmology, okay, you will find all the evidence is embedded throughout deep history, okay, and architecture. It's in the stones. It's not a lie. It's not bullshit at all. So all it is about studying it. Okay, so yes, absolutely, they came, and it's a very long story. I'm not going to get into it, but there was corruption of the human species, and it was to take gold off planet. So you could say, why would the Archons then? Yes, and Egypt holds the truth. Yes, it does, but there's also a lot of corrupt information in ancient Egyptology, unfortunately. I've done a lot of deep study on that also, and you've got to be careful with all the iconic gods, goddesses, all that kind of icon worship. We need to be careful with that. It does and does not, in my view. Can you just clarify that, Andrienne, more what you mean? What does and does not? And helps explain why gold is so overvalued. Yeah, but you know what else I found out about that, Tony? That esoterically and metaphysically, gold does not actually hold the same vibration as it used to. It's like it's become an empty shell in a way. We may give value to it as human beings, but it's lost its deep, sacred, spiritual value that it used to have. Because what we're trying to achieve, okay, is to transform our base metal consciousness to the consciousness of gold, which is the higher perspective of gold, like the gold of our primary source creator. Yes, it has, right? It's lost its value, and you can see how that's actually happening now. People buying gold, they're selling gold. It's becoming really, really crazy, and it's actually becoming quite empty if we look at it from a deeper sacred perspective. Okay, so yes, that's originally what they did. Ancient Egyptian wisdoms, I feel that there is a lot of corruption. Exactly, Andrea. Well, that's exactly what I just said. And before I tapped into this kind of, you know, this deep truth about the Archons and how they are the gods that created perhaps our galaxy and our universe and whatnot, that these gods from up above are the guys that came down to these ancient sacred places, such as ancient Egypt. There are only about 2 swimming pools volume of gold in ever mined. Yeah, and have you heard about what's going on in Africa? They've literally located the places where gold has been mined and taken off planet. Did you know that? Absolutely amazing. If you look up this guy called Michael Tellinger, right? He's got all the info. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's an amazing guy. He's spiritual, he's political, but in the right way. And partially we have been able to perceive what is what some non-organic power would want us to. Yes, exactly, Andriemo. So basically our instincts have become distorted. Tweet a link, please. Andriemo, could you put up a link for Tony here, for Michael Tellinger? Do you remember there was this fantastic this lecture that he did when he was in South Africa? He is actually from Africa, and he showed the exact locations with evidence where gold was mined and taken off planet by the Archons. Okay, fascinating stuff, amazing. Thanks, darling, thank you. So yeah, just want to make a point that we've got to be careful again with the ancient wisdoms, ancient god worship, for example, such as the Atlanteans, Lemurians, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece. Actually, all these guys are Archons. Okay, it's another word for God. Okay, so there are many gods and many creators in the universe. Truth tribe, you need to be aware of this, okay? And this is why we always, when we're doing processes, when we're doing healings, I do not connect to the angels or the archangels or any other beings, not because they're bad, a lot of them are beautiful, but we always just connect to the highest point of creation, and that is primary source. Okay, so that we don't get entangled with any lower vibrational entities energies or gods or deities without knowing it. That's the only reason that we do it. We just do it to play safe. Okay, and because with Fusion 7 healing processes, because thank you so much, Andrea. There's the link, guys. Do a what do you call it? A screenshot of that. Perhaps you can put it up again. Why be careful? Humans corrupted the truth of ancient Egypt. Well, we need to be careful, my darling, because a lot of people do invest their energies into that. And so there is a lot of worship and prostration to it. I mean, you can if you want. I'm not telling you you should not. But all I'm doing is just bringing to the light of people's awareness that this is a lower, more dense vibration, and perhaps some of these beings are not what we perceive them to be. The Archons, it's both. It can be both, Tony. This is what I'm saying. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong if you connect to any archangels, but personally in Fusion 7 healing techniques, healings and formulas, we just don't do it. Okay, the only purpose that we do it in my retreats and classes is so that we can access how to perceive if those beings are of organic light or inorganic light or of darkness. So we do connect with them, but we do it for the purpose of pure discernment and higher understanding. But we don't do it for the purpose of prostration or worship or to invoke them for their special qualities. Okay, if we get a source check clearance that it's okay to do so, that it's pure to do so, then we can. Another thing that's very important that you need to know is that these beings, they can actually souls, they can change soul or not skin suit, but they can change their forms. Okay, just like we go through many bodies, we go through upgrades of the soul, so do these beings. They're not static. Okay, so for example, what I mean by that is, for example, I have a very close resonance with Archangel, with Metatron, with the geometry plus the figure that represents it. And you may have some of your own, but you must understand that if you are have a resonance with a being, that even those beings go through upgrades or changes, perhaps devolution or evolution, depending what the case is. So just be aware. All I'm saying is know it, okay? Sometimes they can enter into a human body to use it as a tool, correct? Yes, they can. Absolutely. And I've seen it happen, Cristiano, with clients and students over and over again, where they actually become a part of us. And so we need to be careful and aware. We've got to be spiritually street smart, is what I'm saying. Yes, when I get it, when I connect, I always ask to connect with beings above duality. Yes, that's cool. Okay, just be really aware of that. Forewarned is forearmed. Absolutely. Look, Tony, because the way that I work, and you can ask Andrienne or Christiana about this, is that the process is so deep. Like, people will go deeper than the core of their core. And so safety is my absolute priority. It's number one. I used to be a personal trainer, and it helped me to exercise safety in a really big way. So perhaps I'm a little bit anal in the safety, but I think people take energy a little for granted, yeah, because they think everything is beautiful and wonderful and woohoo and amazing, and a great aspect of it is. But we need to be careful, because it's like going into a dodgy neighborhood of the universe. You may just wander in and not even know that you're there. And some beings disguise themselves as light, but in fact it is artificial light, it's not real. Bishop says Helen is awesome, tremendous value. Yes, energy is often taken for granted. Yes, Bishop, and I'll bet you're coming into some really weird and wonderful info here. Thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate it. I'm new to all this, learning so much from you. I appreciate this subject. You're so welcome, Adriana. And I appreciate you being here. Yes, when manifesting, I only connect with source and always ground for safety. Absolutely. Annette Martinson, she also knows her stuff, so connect with her also. She's an amazing, wonderful being, so please connect with her also. You're welcome. Love that you have done all this research so I can get caught up. Yeah, I've done a lot of backup, so safety comes first, ensuring connection to the organic and primary source. Yes, my darling, thank you for sharing that, Adrienne Moore. Please do share this scope. I think it's a real important one. What's your suggestion on connection before readings? Just always connecting to the primary source, which is the absolute 0 point of creation. Doesn't matter. Love you too, darling. Doesn't matter what you call it, you know, but you know, as long as you know and feel that it is the absolute first point of where everything arose from, the very first point, not all of the other. No. What you can do is connect to there first, and it's like going through passport control. So if you get clearance, connect deeply to primary source, and if you would like to learn how to do that, go to my website fusion7healing.com, and there's some beautiful audios you can download, and go to Fusion 7 Healing Foundation course so that you can connect deeply. You have to rewrite that one, Adrienne Moore, because I missed it. You can connect deeply through with primary source with these specific processes, and then from there you can get source check clearance and say, is it appropriate for me to connect to my such and such guide at this time? And you'll be very surprised by the answers that you get. It could be a yes, but it could be a no. Could be a no, because what happens also is that as your vibrational frequency changes, then you will have less need to connect to lower density beings, because they are of a lower density. Not bad, not dirty, I'm not judging it, but as you ascend, you will find that you would want a purer source every time. So the more pure you become, the less you need to identify with beings, because the reason that we do identify with all these beings to start with is because we need identification. Trusting the self allows the awareness of primary and organic source within to become apparent. Thank you, Andrea. More beautiful bullseye. And so Andrea is absolutely spot on with that. It's the need to identify. That's the reason why we say, oh, I have such a strong connection with Isis. I have such a profound connection with Archangel Michael. Archangel Raphael healed my life. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's beautiful, but it is of a lower vibration. Okay, so my purpose is to lift our vibrations as individuals and collective to the highest point that we can whilst we are in the human skin suit. That is my intention for self, individuals, for clients, for students, for the collective and humanity. Okay, so this is why I go about doing things in this kind of clinically spiritual, energetic, anal way. Okay, but I'm not judging anybody, okay, because we go through all the different levels of our own ascension process, so it's all good. Okay, I'm just bringing it to the light of your awareness. She's laughing. Okay, so get this, Archons may be even considered to be godlike, which we have discussed, and they lack intentionality, enya, self-directive capacity. Some players of the separation play villains, actors, yes, and more fun roles. Yes, absolutely. That's another thing. So the Archons do have their place, you know. They do have their place because we're learning from them, in fact. We just don't need to feed from them, and we don't need to allow ourselves to be fed from. okay? So there's this whole parasitic thing that we feed from them, and they feed from us. Enki and Enlil, yes, exactly, Richard, okay? Those are the specific brothers of the Anunnaki, okay? And they are also described in an ancient Aboriginal mythos also, which are also the same reference to Enki and Enlil, okay? We simply should not fall into the loophole of identifying with them, yes. Or perhaps what we need to do is identify if we do have a correspondence with them, and then apply process to heal it, yeah? Or say, I'm out, I'm not doing this anymore. Make a conscious decision. So very, very important. So they lack intentionality, and the word in Greek is enya, okay? Enya means intentionality and to care, actually. If you have enya, it means you have compassion and caring, okay? So they lack that. And because they lack that, they have a tendency to stray from their boundaries and intrude or violate the organic humans and the organic human realm, you see. So this is what happens. Empathy, in other words, yes, empathy. It's more compassion. Empathia, Andrienne, more etymology of empathia, it's slightly different to compassion, isn't it? Very closely linked, but slightly different, yeah? Empathy is more of, it's an understanding and a resonance. Empathia, yeah? Whereas, how do you spell it? Enya, no, it's E-N-N-I-A, Enya. Sorry, E-N-N-O-I-A. So it's spelled E-N-N-O-I-A in English, Enya, and there is the Greek spelling. That, Enya, yes. Thank you, Christiana Ramon, perfect. That's in Greek and in English. Nasegala, thank you very, very much for sharing that with our friends. Hey Jenny, thank you for coming in. Empathy, ability to understand and share the feeling of another, yes. And compassion, which is enya. Yep, beautiful. So this is what they lack, okay? This is what they lack. And have you noticed that? Have you noticed that? Looking at it on the human realms now, yeah? When we look at people in higher places, okay, they could be a bit like stoic, yeah? Whether it's kind of in places of authority, at the hospital perhaps, it can happen, okay? Some of our religious leaders. Empathy is Greek from pathos, sensing pain or empathy. Thank you, Christiana. And Andrienne says sympathy, pity, and concern for suffering or misfortunes of another. Nasegala, thanks guys, absolutely beautiful. And I'm really, really happy that you're both here with me. I'm so happy. Those are my girls. Oh, I'm so proud. Okay, so yes, that's the difference, okay? That's the difference. And I look forward to seeing you, Andrienne, in October in London, when we're going to be doing our presentations for fusion work over at Ali Pali in London. Fantastic. So yes, so they intrude, they overstep their boundaries, or they violate. It has been said that anyone who strives for power are the last people to give it to. It depends how you go about it. If you know true power, what's the enya of true power? What is it? Because we can be powerful, okay? We can be sovereign, but at the same time we can have enya and we can have empathia, we can have empathy, okay? And we can still stand in our power. It's just the old school paradigm of power has not yet understood, some places have, but mostly not, have understood the absolute significance of that. True power comes to simplicity. It does not involve force or pressure. Absolutely, Andrienne Moore, spot on, okay? Does not include force and does not include pressure. Rather, it comes with ease and grace, and that right there is the true power, okay? So it's about changing our misconstrued corrupted perspective of what power actually means. Even in the classic old school spiritual paradigms, they have a misconstrued perspective of power. They do, because they're telling you that we have to prostrate to them. Okay, that means that they are of a higher power. I remember being in Bangkok a few years ago, okay, and I had a really bad back, and we got on a bus, Chris and I really needed to sit down. Power to create fear, yes. Do you believe that there is a battle going on between light and dark? Yeah, I'll get into that in a second. Please hold that question for me while I just answer this, okay? So I got on this bus and it was fully packed, had a really bad back, needed to sit down, and there was only one seat next to a monk. Okay, I took it, I sat down. I tell you what, you should have seen the look on his face. He looked at me like I was fucking dirt. Okay, a piece of shit. He was just like, who do you think you are? Regular person, woman, okay, coming here and sitting next to a monk. Sin, blasphemy, okay? And he expected me to get up. And I was so mad, I'm telling you. High monks are not allowed. You know what, Tony? I don't care. Because it is just I know what you're saying, right? But it is an old school perspective. And I'm not taking it. I don't care what school of thought you're from, okay? Because it means that this man put what he knows from the ladder of authority before compassion and before a need. That's what it means, okay? And those things upset me, and I won't have it from anybody, and I don't care who you are, and I don't care what you do, okay? That's just simply, I'm not having it. I will not have it. I wasn't touching him, I was sitting next to him, and he was just looking at me with pure disgust. Chris almost did something to him, but I was just looking at him as in, just don't say anything, you know? I wasn't feeling well and I had to sit. And that was the priority, not his hierarchical rules. Okay, so this is what I'm coming down to. So even there's some hierarchy going on, okay? You're lower, I'm higher, you are disrespecting me. That was what was going on there. Not having it, I'm sorry, okay? You don't have to agree with me, that's just one of my experiences, and I'm just sharing how I feel about that, okay? So the other point that I wanted to share, we're near the end, guys, is that they are an aspect of our galactic history that I mentioned earlier on, and they are part of the devolution phase of our evolution process. Okay, so somebody mentioned, can you please say again who you are? Is there a battle between light and dark? The answer is yes and no. Okay, there needs to be a certain torsion between light and darkness to keep the balance, yin and yang. So there's a natural light and darkness that needs to be kept, you know, that torsion that keeps the balance between the both, and is actually holonomic. Okay, but when we come down to issues of violation, okay, prostration, bowing down to others that are higher than you, slavery, okay, you know, being in a state of manipulation, for example. This is light and darkness. Hey Maria, thanks for joining, my darling. So if there's that stuff going on, then it's up to the individual to take responsibility of that. Does the right hand tell the left hand that it is wrong, dark versus light? Yes, Tony, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Hey Maria, how are you today? Lovely to have you. That's a beautiful point, Tony, absolutely. But it depends which level of it that you're looking at it, yeah? The way that you're looking at it is the way that I described, which is the natural holonomic yin-yang perspective. So there is no right and wrong, both is required. However, if somebody is being violated, if somebody is being forced upon, it is up to the individual who's receiving this treatment to take responsibility of the self, to become an Archon of self, okay, God or Goddess of self in fact, and retrieve their true power and not allow that to happen. Now, if you are the doer, the same applies. Does Blavatsky say anything about Archons? I think she does, Richard. I think she does. Yeah, she does. But the difference with Blavatsky is I think that a lot of her work involves actually, how can I say this? There is correspondence to different levels of deity. Okay, so a lot of her work is amazing, but I guess from my perspective that would be the only part that I don't personally resonate to. But amazing works, yeah. I mean, dark beings needing more energies to grow as in us. Yes, they do. Yeah, it's parasitic. So what they do is they will feed from light. So what they're doing is, instead of connecting to primary source, they're just drawing it from other beings that allow them to do that. That's how it works. And then on the other side of that, if you are a being who is a good one, for example, but you have perhaps any holes in your electromagnetic field, if you are using any substances, or if you allow others to treat you poorly, we can also be feeding from that. We get used to it. So if we don't have somebody to look over us, someone to tell us what to do, yeah, if we don't have somebody dishing out the rules and regulations, if we aren't somebody's like little slave, okay, then we don't know what to do with ourselves. Fear-based. So we are actually taking energy from the ones who are dictating us. We're taking energy from the Archons. Okay, so it works both ways. It is not one-sided. So what I would say to you is, the more that we can decipher, the more that we can discern from the highest perspective available, it means the clearer we can be, and the more we can offer from a clearer state of mind. And I really am into being metaphysically street smart. Yes, makes sense. I'm an energy healer. Right, absolutely. So yeah, we need to know what we're doing off, how we're doing it, why we're doing it, where we're taking energy from, where we're doing it. Yeah, again with Reiki, again because I've done Reiki, okay, with Reiki it can possibly deplete you. I'm not saying it's bad, but what happens is when you heal another, the energy runs through you, so it depletes yours. We don't do that in fusion. Archons will not involve. If humans eventually, they will withdraw their energy. I think the way that it goes is that if humanity become purer in their own intention, then we won't become a feeding ground for the Archons, yeah, and we won't feed from them. So something's got to give. At some point, something's got to give. And that's why, as of tomorrow, I'm doing these very specific scopes that are all about these energies that are coming into the earth. May I ask once again, I am so new to this, what is an energy healer? So an energy, yes, they do. They run away when they are confronted, but this is standing in your power, you see, Tony. It comes back to being in your power. So an energy healer, my darling, is somebody that uses vibrational frequency in order to transform something. Hey, Rob, how you doing, my friend? Lovely to have you in. How are you this evening? Yeah? So that is what an energy healer might be, yeah, but it comes in many shapes and forms. So some use beings, some use pure light, some use sound, some use frequency, vibration. I would be interested in learning your method. You can find out some more by going onto fusion7healing.com, but I also plan to make some more specific YouTube videos, and I will be doing that during this month now that I've got time here in Thailand, where I will be describing step by step. But in the meantime, you can go to catch.me/fusion7healing, where I have there archived over 70 scopes that I've done. When I heal, I use only direct source energy. Fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that. Not that I'm not against any of the other ways, but we just don't do that with the approach that I created and founded. Yeah. So, one more last point. They've turned the lights down. Woohoo! Okay, so here's the last one. So, Archons, my friends, how much of your classes in your book? In the book, I'm only referring to foundation class, but that in itself is a really huge class. So that is in there. That's in there, Tony. But I teach like a total of about 13 classes in total, but each one is very in-depth in its very own way. It does not mean if you do one that you have to do the rest. It's just that we love esoteric teachings and metaphysics, so we keep going. So the last one is, Truth Tribe, is that Archons do exist in human skin suits that are devoid of human nature. Okay, so the Archons is not something woohoo that's out there. They exist here on planet Earth, and we kind of recognize these guys, these people. They sort of come across like, yeah, like Bush, yeah, or a load of other political leaders, right? The majority of them are soulless. What's an Archon? An Archon is somebody in a position of power. You'd have to go back and watch the scope from the beginning. It's really, really deep, wonderful stuff. Don't draw what Reiki symbols, doesn't resonate. How do you feel about crystals? Crystals are okay, kind of next to you. They don't want you to say no more. Yeah, that's very true. Crystals are cool. They do have a consciousness. You need to be able to clear them properly, clean them with primary source energy if you're using them, clean them and charge them. But they are beautiful, they are the wonderful. But some, if they've passed through many hands or where they've come from, can carry negative energy, so you do want to clear them and charge them. And I will do some YouTube stuff on that at some point for you as well, how to do that the fusion way, to clear and charge your crystals. So yes, so there are Archons here on planet Earth, on the human realm. And sometimes you look at somebody, could be somebody who's famous or a public figure, or even somebody that you know personally, and it feels as though they're soulless, okay? And if it feels like they're soulless and they're also very powerful but in a negative kind of way, then they could be sort of, is it very late here? It's just 5 minutes past the hour of 12 midnight here. Just after midnight, and because I'm still on European time, I'm just not sleepy yet. I would have been if I was in Cyprus, I think. So yeah, so this is not to become suspicious or superstitious, Truth Tribe. It's just to sort of like broaden our perspective, okay? I do all of that. Yes, I am a crystal healer. Wonderful, wonderful, fantastic. Then you're on the right track, obviously. So guys, that kind of wraps up our 7 points or so on the Archons. Who and what are they? And there's loads more to it, but I just wanted to bang out these basic key points so that you can just get in the know if you weren't, and just to share with you. I'd like to also really thank Christiana and Adrienne for being here this evening, who are Fusion 7 healing trained and are, you know, very, very wise. Thanks for being here, guys. And everyone else who was here this evening, thanks for being here. Love you. Looking forward to your birthday, dear. Yeah, that's on the 28th. We've still got a few more weeks to go, but tomorrow morning we're going to be doing a scope, and it's going to be a real important one. We're going to be looking at Ida Sushumna and Pingala, and don't forget, especially to fusion people, these processes are modified for Periscope. They're not like our original Fusion 7 healing processes, okay? So everything I do here is modified for Periscope. It was an amazing scope. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Christiana Moore. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to share widely. Don't forget to watch from the beginning if you haven't, because it's really amazing information. Love, love, love to you also. Thank you for being here. And don't forget, you can follow also on Twitter too. Facebook page is Helen Christodoulou. It's my author page. You can grab the book on fusion7healing.com if you want it. You're very, very welcome. You're very welcome. It's my joy and my passion to do that with people that are interested. So Thank you very much. So with that, my darlings, I will get with you again tomorrow AM, where we will start becoming prepared for these wonderful energies. Thanks for coming in, Tony. These wonderful energies that are coming in September, okay? And we are going to use them for the highest good. So thanks a lot. May truth always be the guiding force that's with you. Imaste. It means we are. Imaste. Kisses to you. Thanks for being here. And with that, love, light, truth. And I will check in with you tomorrow AM. Imaste, Christiana. Imaste. Peace out. Have a good one. Chokti Swalok. And Sawadika. Sawadika. Thank you, my darling. We'll talk again tomorrow. Connect with you then. Take care. Peace out to everyone. Ciao for now. Have a lovely evening.